Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Dr. Muhammad Nasim Nias Ahmad. We are from Group 1, where we will present about the 1997 Asian financial crisis that has led Malaysia to experience the recession. So I'm Saiful Anwar Bekam Risham. Will do an introduction to the 1997 Asian financial crisis. So basically, the financial 1997 financial crisis began with the financial crash of Thailand baht on 2nd July after the Thai government was forced to float its currency due to its lack of foreign capital to adjust the baht currency to the US dollar. So according to Yamazawa 1998, the Thai baht also facing the financial collapse due to the Thai government absence of currency. Finding by Sabri 2009, the countries most affected by the crisis is Indonesia, South Korea, and also Thailand. The recession also has impacted Malaysia, Hong Kong, Laos, Japan, and Philippines. However, Brunei, China, Singapore, Taiwan, and Vietnam also affected, but less critically affected compared to Malaysia, Hong Kong, Laos, Japan, and Philippines. And finding by Sabri 2009 also state most countries suffered from a lack of demand and confidence in the region. So, studied by Tiwari 2011, the crisis has a big impact to the macroeconomic level. This is resulting steep declining to the currency stocks and other asset prices in numerous Asian countries. So, the 1997 financial crisis, the Tevran Pettinger 2013 state the best it's happened due to the Thai baht speculation that caused the foreign investment pull out their investment from the Asian. So I pass to the next presenter, Safika Najah Idris.
Okay, hello, I'm Safika. Okay, now I will present regards on issue on 1997 Asian financial crisis in Malaysia. Okay, next. Okay, there's been 7 highlight or major of the crisis that happened during the Asian financial crisis. Okay, first that we can see is contraction of the economy. Okay, we can prove it by looking that the GDP growth rate has fallen from 6% to negative 8.1 in the year 1998. Okay, second, the increasing in of the unemployment, which is the unemployment rate has increased from the 2.6% to 3.9% in the year 1998. Okay, the third is the price pressure, which is we use the CPI as a measure. It can be seen that the CPI has increased from 3.5% from the year 1996 to 5.3% to the latest year 1998. Okay, next is the declining private investment. Okay, is it due to the uncertainty from the volatile of the exchange rate? So we can see that the decline in both local and external demand, excess capacity, and type of the liquidity position. Okay, next is the instability in exchange rate. Okay, which is we can see that during the Asian financial crisis, the ringgit Malaysia has depreciated by 35% against the USD dollar. Okay, next is the decline in stock price, which is we use the KLSECI, have been declined by 63% due to the exchange rate fluctuation, development in regional economies, and sharp loss of the confidence in emerging market by the international investor. Okay, last is the socio-economic implication. Okay, the poverty have we can see that poverty increased to 7% in 1998. Next, decline in share price and the value of property, which has had the negative wealth effect. Okay. Okay, last is the currency depreciation affected the capacity to pursue the education abroad, which is a fact that most of the students apply to study in Malaysia lah. Okay. Okay, next I will pass to our next presenter.
Thank you, Safika. Hi everyone, I'm Razif Samad. Next, I will continue to the causes of the Asian financial crisis in 1997. Okay, next. As we can see here, there are several factors of financial crisis. First, higher US interest rate. In the late 1990s, the US started to increase interest rate to reduce US inflationary pressures. Higher interest rates in US made the East less attractive as a place to move hot money flows. As hot money flows into the East slowed down, Malaysian currency started to fall and government struggled to keep up exchange rate at their fixed level against the US dollar. Okay, second, current account deficit. Countries like Thailand, Indonesia, and South Korea had large current account deficit. This meant they were importing more goods and services than they were exporting. It was a reflection of very high rates of economic growth and consumption. The current account deficit were financed by the hot money flows. Hot money flows were accumulated because the higher interest rate in the East. Okay, next, the fixed or semi-fixed exchange rate. This made currencies vulnerable to speculation. Also, interest rates were used to maintain the value of currency, causing relatively high interest rate in Southeast Asia, which caused hot money flows. Okay, next, contagion. On 2nd July 1997, due to speculative attack, Thailand was forced to float their currencies. This caused a rapid devaluation, which triggered a loss of confidence throughout the Asian economies. Soon, other countries were forced to devalue as investors wanted to get out of Asian currencies. Investors also realized the previous optimism was starting to look misplaced. Okay, next, financial deregulation. Financial deregulation encouraged more loans and helped to create asset bubbles, but regulatory framework and structure of banking and firm meant loans were often made without sufficient scrutiny of profitability and rates of return. Okay, lastly, debt default. In the run-up to the crisis, both government and private firms built up high external debt ratios. However, the devaluations caused debt repayment to become more expensive, and as a result, firms and countries started to default on their debt repayments. Okay, that's all for me. Let's pass to the next presenter, Julia. Thank you.
Next is about effect of the crisis on Malaysian economy. Actually, the ASEAN financial crisis has affected the economy of Malaysia a lot, and some of the effect is shown in the slide. First is the weakening of the ringgit to the USD. After Thai baht came under severe pressure from speculative attack, RM also felt the impact due to the depreciation of Thai baht in world market, and the ringgit came under severe selling pressure. At a minimum point, the ringgit depreciated against the dollar by almost 50%, hitting a high of RM 4.88 to the USD on 7 January 1998. Second is the rise in non-performing loan in the banking sector. After the drastic decline in share price, value of property has a negative wealth and accompanied by massive capital outflow as confidence in Malaysia economy by the investor became increasingly shaky. The banking system began to experience increasing NPL, where rose from 2.18% in June 1997 to a high of 11.45% in July 1998. Third is the failure of the part of several stockbroking firms to regularize their financial position after the collapse of the stock market of KLSE. In between 1997 and 1998, the composite index of the KLSE fell by 60% and the market capitalization in the KLSE fell about 78%. The movement of stock price on the KLSE also affected by the exchange rate fluctuation, development in the regional economy, and sharp loss of confidence in the emerging market by international investors. Next is the corporate restructuring to restore confidence and prevent a run on the bank because of the incident of a non-performing loan increase sharply. Several banks have come under pressure, have to be recapitalized or else face insolvency. By this restructuring, small banks were brought out by strong ones, and banks were better capitalized and NPL were released in an orderly way. And lastly is a decline in private investment and FDI due to uncertainty and a dim economic progress arising from the stable exchange rate, the decline in local and external demand, and a tight liquidity position in the economy. The FDI level also show a negative trend over the period January until December 1998 due to the shaky economic condition.
Let's move on to the Malaysia success from crisis. First is authoritarian government. From here you can see. So Asian values such as maintaining a good relationship, respect elder and upholding harmony. Authoritarian government is one of the main elements for rapid economic growth. Secondly, Malaysia debt per GDP was smaller. Due to Bank Negara Malaysia strengthening the control of offshore borrowing by local corporation, Malaysia's external debt did not show any dangers to its debt per ratio (GDP). In this response to earlier experience during the 1987 to 1988 crisis, only Malaysian companies are earning foreign receipts are only allowed to raise capital overseas. Thirdly, absence of black market currency. One of the associated side effects of capital control is a creating of black market for currency. Due to that, increase in demand of USD for more people are willing to pay more RM for the dollar. And in the black market, instead of stipulated US dollar 1 ringgit 1 to RM 3 ringgit 80 cent, people are willing to pay more, said RM 4 ringgit. This does not happen in Malaysia because due to the authoritarian nature of government. Bank Negara Malaysia can expect full control on the commercial bank operation. Commercial bank want not to mess around with the black market. So these are the things assist Malaysia to success from the financial crisis in 1997. Okay, let's move on in detail how Malaysia overcome from the crisis. First is 1988 September, the Malaysia introduced strong control over the capital and the other currency control. The move taken by Mahathir is to fix the ringgit exchange at RM 3 ringgit 80 cent to the US dollar. Secondly, any ringgit remain outside of Malaysia considered not legal tender. This is to prevent speculator from borrowing the ringgit offshore to sell in the domestic market for dollars. In other words, to perform short selling on the ringgit, and when the ringgit depreciates, they will buy it back to repay their offshore ringgit loan. Third is clearing of stock listed on the KLSE can only be done on the KLSE or approved exchange. Fourth is RM50 to RM1000 currency notes are made non-legal tender to prevent smuggling of RM to neighbor countries. Fifth is any credit facilities obtained overseas need to seek approval first, and only companies that earn foreign exchange are allowed to obtain offshore credits. So these are the steps taken by Malaysia to overcome from the 1997 crisis. Thank you for listening to us.